The city breathed in neon its lifeblood, a relentless pulse of flickering advertisements, digital billboards, and the constant murmur of a populace addicted to the spectacle of true crime. Alex Mercer stepped off the elevated train platform. The synthetic rain cooled against his skin despite the absence of actual precipitation. Above him, Halley ads for the latest livestream murder events cast eerie glows on his leather jacket, each promising thrills soaked in blood and controversy. Ducking into an alley to avoid the prying eyes of surveillance drones, Alex checked his comlink. No new messages. The city was alive with the chatter of thousands glued to their screens, voting, commenting, and feeding the insatiable beast of public voyeurism. He had seen it all before, yet every time he immersed himself in this world, a knot tightened in his stomach. His office was a cramped chamber nestled between towering megastructures, place where shadows gathered and secrets whispered. The walls bore the scars of forgotten cases and fading memories. As he settled into the worn leather chair, the door slid open with a soft hiss. She stepped in quietly, her presence cutting through the stale air like a blade. Lila, the name was as enigmatic as the woman herself. Jet black hair framing a pale face, eyes like dark amethysts flickering with a cocktail of fear and defiance. She carried herself with the wary grace of someone accustomed to hiding, yet unwilling to disappear. "Mr. Mercer," she said softly, voice trembling just enough to betray her composure. "I need your help." Alex gestured to the chair opposite him, watching as she sat carefully, her gaze never settling but darting around the room as though the walls themselves might eavesdrop. "Threats," she began, "messages in my inbox, on the forums, even in the comments of live streams. They say, my death is already scheduled, that it's been voted on." Her voice cracked like a fragile glass. Alex frowned, intrigued and wary. "Scheduled, voted on. You mean like some twisted popularity contest?" She nodded, pulling out a holopad. The screen flickered to life, displaying a brutal interface, a countdown clock, a tally of votes, and a live chat feeding frenzy. "This is the Killstream platform, the most watched channel in the city. They decide who dies next." Alex leaned closer, eyes scanning the data. The date was no more than a week away. The votes were climbing steadily, the public obsessed with the impending event. "This isn't just a death threat," he murmured. "It's a sentence." The air in the room thickened, charged with a mixture of fear and disbelief. Alex realized that Lila's plight was not an isolated nightmare, but a symptom of a society numbed and enthralled by digital bloodlust. That night, Alex wandered the neon-lit streets, the city's digital heartbeat echoing in his mind. Screens everywhere showcased gruesome previews and fan theories, the public's appetite insatiable. Somewhere in this maze of light and shadow, a sinister game was unfolding, one where life itself was currency for entertainment. Determined to uncover the truth and intervene, Alex knew the road ahead was perilous. The line between spectator and participant had blurred, and the stakes were deadly real. As the first chill of dawn crept over the horizon, the city's neon glow faded into a haunting vaporwave, haze beautiful, synthetic, and utterly devoid of mercy. The game had begun. Alex's fingers hovered above the holopad, scrolling through endless streams of comments. The public was merciless, their votes a cold echo chamber of cruelty. He tapped into underground forums, tracing the origins of the threats, piecing together fragments of digital breadcrumbs. Each revelation tightened the noose around Lila's fate. "You don't understand," Lila whispered during their next meeting, eyes darting nervously. "It's not just some sick joke. The platform controls everything. The votes, the timing, even the live stream itself. They want this to be a spectacle. Alex nodded grimly. Then we're not just fighting for your life, we're fighting a system. The neon city hummed around them, a vast machine indifferent to individual pain. As Alex stepped back into the rain-soaked streets, he felt the weight of unseen eyes, the flicker of cameras hidden in every corner. The client's shadow stretched long and dark, a harbinger of the twisted world they were about to unravel, and the clock was ticking. His investigation had barely begun, yet already the city's pulse seemed to quicken, syncing with the countdown that promised death as entertainment. The voyeuristic hunger of the public was a force unlike any other, a tide threatening to drown reason and mercy alike. Alex Mercer was no stranger to darkness, but this was something else entirely, a world where murder was programmed. Votes were verdicts, and the line between justice and spectacle had vanished into the digital abyss. The client's shadow loomed large, and Alex was caught in its cold embrace, staring down the inevitable with a clenched jaw and a flicker of defiance in his weary eyes. The Killstream had begun. Alex Mercer sat alone in his cluttered apartment, the faint hum of the city seeping through cracked windows. Neon signs flickered outside, casting erratic pulses of pink and teal across his desk, where multiple holographic screens floated, each streaming data faster than the eye could follow. At the center, a live feed of Lila's social media profiles scrolled endlessly, the numbers climbing like an uncontrollable wildfire. Her face was everywhere, in bright, saturated filters, in morbid memes, in heated debates across forums and chat rooms. He leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. Something wasn't right. The spikes in her mentions, the sudden surge of followers, the polarized reactions flooding the comments. They weren't organic. It was as if an invisible hand was fanning the flames of a digital bonfire, orchestrating public opinion to a fever pitch. The room was dark, except for the glow of the screens. The chatter from his comlink buzzed softly, a message from Myra, his trusted digital analyst and contact in the tech underground. They had agreed to meet tonight. He needed her expertise to cut through the noise and see the machinery behind the madness. The cafe was a stark contrast to his apartment, alive with neon advertisements pulsating on walls and holograms dancing above tables. The air smelled of burnt coffee and synthetic spices. Mira sat in the corner, her augmented reality glasses reflecting scrolling code as she connected a data spike to her neural interface. "It's worse than we thought," she said, voice low but urgent. "The voting system is a sham. Bots and fake accounts are inflating the numbers, creating a false consensus." Alex's jaw tightened. "So the public vote on Lila's fate? It's a lie, exactly. But the platform's algorithms feed on this hype. They amplify the spectacle, making it irresistible. The more people engage, the bigger the show becomes." Outside, the city throbbed with life, and the appetite for true crime spectacle grew insatiable. Alex left the cafe and wandered through the crowded, neon-lit marketplace. Digital billboards flashed announcements of Lila's scheduled murder. Livestream, the biggest event on the media calendar. People in augmented reality visors watched as they walked, their eyes glazed with a mixture of fascination and detachment. The cacophony of voices and electronic noise pressed in on him. This wasn't just a murder. It was a public execution shaped by digital culture and addiction. The lines between justice and entertainment had blurred beyond recognition. Back in his apartment, Alex stared at the countdown timer projected onto the wall, the seconds slipping away with merciless precision. The weight of the impending event settled around him like a suffocating fog. He knew the system was rigged, but exposing it would make him a target. Yet, doing nothing was no longer an option. "We have to find a way to break the cycle," he muttered, "before it's too late." As the digital clock ticked down, the city's dark heart beat louder, a symphony of voyeurism, manipulation, and a public unwilling to look away. Alex Mercer was caught in its rhythm, racing against time to unravel the viral verdict that threatened to claim Lila's life in the name of entertainment. But with every moment, the algorithm's grip tightened, and the question remained, could one man dismantle a spectacle engineered for death? Or was he doomed to become just another player in the Killstream? The rain thrummed against the grimy window pane of Alex Mercer's apartment as neon signs flickered sporadically across the skyline. Outside, the city pulsed with the endless hum of digital life, a ceaseless stream of data and images that had become the lifeblood of a society addicted to spectacle. Alex sat hunched over his workstation, the glow of multiple monitors casting shifting shadows on his tired face. His fingers danced across the keyboard, navigating through layers of encrypted firewalls and code that seemed designed to deter any curious mind. But curiosity was his tool, an obsession his companion. Lila's case weighed heavily on him. The woman who had walked into his office days ago, her violet hair a stark contrast to the darkened streets, had confided in him a secret that chilled the spine of even the most jaded detective. Her murder was scheduled, voted on by the public, and set to be broadcast as the next big event in the world's most watched true crime livestream platform. But something deeper lurked beneath the surface, something sinister that turned the public's voyeurism into a weapon. His investigations had led him to the underbelly of the web, a shadow network where votes weren't just cast by individuals, but manipulated en masse. As he decrypted the layers of digital camouflage, a pattern emerged evidence of coordinated interference, algorithmic puppeteering designed to inflate interest, sway opinion, and ultimately control the narrative. The more Alex dug, the darker the truth grew. This was no mere social experiment or a sick game of popularity. It was a calculated enterprise, a digital empire thriving on human obsession and despair. The scheduled murders were the product of a machinery that blurred the lines between entertainment and real violence, turning victims into commodities and the public into willing accomplices. One sleepless night, as the city's neon glow seeped through the window blinds, Alex accessed a hidden virtual chat room. The air in his cramped apartment felt thick, heavy with the weight of unseen eyes. The room's screen flickered, avatars jittering with glitch effects, voices distorted into unrecognizable tones. Here, the architects of the carnage spoke with chilling amusement about their control over public perception and the mechanics of their vote manipulation. They were digital puppeteers, pulling strings from the shadows, their motives cloaked in anonymity and power. Alex's heart pounded as he realized the scale of what he faced. Each vote was a thread in their web, each cheer a note in their symphony of control. The public's appetite for true crime, their insatiable thirst for spectacle, had been weaponized, turned into a tool for domination and profit. Yet amidst the growing dread, a spark of determination ignited within him. He couldn't let Lila become just another statistic, another pixel in their twisted broadcast. He had to expose the puppeteers, unravel the digital veil, and confront the system feeding on humanity's darkest impulses. But as he sat back, rubbing his eyes, a notification blinked on his screen. Subtle but unmistakable sign, he was being watched. The network had noticed his intrusion. The game had changed. And now, Alex was no longer just an observer. He was a target. The city outside buzzed with oblivious life. neon lights reflecting the endless cycles of consumption and distraction. Inside, the detective steeled himself for the long fight ahead, knowing that in a world addicted to digital death, survival meant outmaneuvering ghosts in the machine. The countdown to Lila's fate continued, and the shadows behind the screens grew ever longer. Alex's next moves would determine not only her life, but the fragile thread between truth and spectacle that held society together. And somewhere in the depths of the network, the puppeteers watched, waiting for the next act to unfold. The neon glow of the city was more than illumination. It was an omnipresent pulse, throbbing with the insatiable hunger for true crime spectacle. Alex Mercer moved through the crowded streets, his senses assaulted by holographic billboards flashing the latest livestream ratings, viewer counts ticking upward like a countdown to chaos. The air was thick with electric buzz and murmurs of anticipation, the whole metropolis seemingly holding its breath for the next brutal broadcast. He adjusted the collar of his jacket as he entered the media hub, a sprawling complex that housed rival factions battling for dominance in the lucrative true crime livestream market. The scent of synthetic ozone mingled with stale caffeine, and everywhere he looked, screens glowed with violent imagery, chat windows exploded with frenzied commentary, and digital avatars danced in advertisements promising the next big event. Alex's objective was clear: confront Rex Voss, the enigmatic CEO of one of the largest competing factions, and glean what he could about the forces orchestrating Lila's scheduled murder. But the stakes were higher than ever. Rex wasn't just a businessman. He was a kingpin in a game where lives were currency and ratings were the ultimate prize. Entering the sleek conference room, Alex found Rex waiting, his sharp jawline illuminated by the soft neon frames of the glass walls. Around them, holographic graphs and viewer stats floated in midair, climbing steadily as the crowd's obsession with true crime escalated. Alex Mercer, Rex greeted, his voice smooth but cold. "I hear you're meddling in affairs beyond your pay grade." Alex met his gaze steadily. "I'm just trying to understand the game, and maybe find a way to stop it." Rex laughed, a sound void of warmth. "The game doesn't stop because you want it to. It's bigger than any one person or victim. Our viewers demand spectacle. They vote with their clicks, and we deliver." The walls seemed to close in as the digital tide of addiction surged around them. Alex pressed on. What happens when the appetite turns lethal? When the audience decides who dies and when? Rex's eyes narrowed. "Then you either play along or get out of the way." The conversation ended with a veiled threat, leaving Alex with no illusions. Exposing the system meant becoming its next target. Later, in a shadowed underground hideout, Mara's fingers flew across a holographic keyboard, her pastel hair catching the flicker of data streams from augmented reality glasses. The soft hum of machinery filled the space as she hacked into a livestream feed, searching for vulnerabilities in the platform's code. "I'm in," she whispered, eyes darting across cascading lines of code. "But they've fortified the algorithm. It's like trying to crack a fortress built on addiction and fear." Alex leaned over her shoulder, tension palpable. "We have to find a way." For Lila, outside, the city pulsed with unrelenting energy. Alex caught sight of Lila across the crowded plaza, her silhouette framed by towering billboards streaming violent content to millions. The public's addiction was a monstrous shadow, swallowing her fragile safety. The war for ratings was no longer just about entertainment. It was a battle for humanity itself, and Alex was caught in its deadly crossfire. As the chapter closed, the stakes climbed higher. The digital spectacle showed no mercy. and the true price of exposure was yet to be paid. The rain outside had taken on a soft, electric glow, a neon haze reflecting off wet asphalt, giving the city an almost liquid vibrancy. Alex Mercer sat hunched over his makeshift command center in the back room of a forgotten tech den. Screens flickered in front of him, each displaying lines of code, user analytics, and live feeds from the notorious true crime livestream platform that had become the epicenter of a digital spectacle gone horribly wrong. His fingers danced across the keyboard, eyes darting between encrypted data streams and firewall defenses. The hum of servers filled the cramped space, a relentless pulse that matched the rapid beat of his heart. Time was bleeding. Awayla's execution was scheduled, her murder voted on by millions, set to be broadcast as the ultimate climax of public voyeurism. Alex had to act, and fast. Lila's presence was a quiet contrast in the room. She leaned against the far wall, arms crossed tightly, eyes flickering with a mix of fear and determination. "How much time do we have?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Less than 6 hours before the vote closes," Alex replied, not taking his eyes off the code cascading down the screens. "If I can break into their backend, I might be able to manipulate the numbers shift public opinion, create enough doubt to delay or cancel the event." She nodded, drawing a shaky breath. "And if you get caught?" Alex allowed himself a grim smile. "Then it's game over for both of us." The room pulsed with tension as Alex initiated his first breach attempt. Layers of encryption folded out like digital origami, each more complex than the last. This platform wasn't just a streaming service. It was a fortress built on greed, addiction, and a ruthless drive for profit. Behind the scenes, an intricate web of algorithms funneled viewer emotions, manipulated votes, and engineered outrage to keep the cameras rolling and the audience hooked. Suddenly, a flicker interrupted the sterile blue glow of the room. A holographic projection shimmered into existence beside Alex, a glitchy, neon blue avatar materializing with quick, precise movements. "Jocks," Alex muttered, recognizing the underground hacker who had agreed to lend his expertise in this desperate fight. "You're pushing hard." Jox's voice crackled through the speakers, electronic and urgent. "The platform's defenses are adaptive. Every move you make triggers countermeasures. They don't want you in." Alex leaned forward, fingers flying. "They don't want anyone interrupting their show, but we're going to try anyway." Jox's avatar pulsed with data streams cascading behind it. "I've got access to some internal chatter. The higher-ups have turned this into a corporate machina, twisted profit engine, exploiting every ounce of media, addiction, and public voyeurism. It's not just the votes. It's the psychological manipulation of the viewers. They've monetized death itself." A shiver went down Alex's spine. The cold mechanics of the system revealed something far more sinister than a mere spectacle. It was a carefully engineered ecosystem designed to feed on society's darkest impulses, all under the guise of entertainment. "Can we stop it?" Lila's voice broke through the tension. Alex looked up, meeting her eyes. "We have to, but first, we need to disrupt the vote." Minutes crawled by as Alex worked tirelessly, navigating the labyrinth of digital defenses. Screens displayed real-time vote tallies, viewer engagement stats, and algorithmic shifts, reacting to every change he made. For a brief moment, the numbers began to move in their favor, small victory in an ocean of corruption. But then, alarms flared. Red warnings flashed across the monitors. The system was fighting back, deploying automated trace programs and security bots to root out the intrusion. "They know," Alex muttered. "We've been detected. Jox's avatar flickered with urgency. You need to pull out or risk getting locked in. They'll come after you both now. Alex's mind raced. He could retreat and live to fight another day, or push forward and risk everything to save Lila. The choice was clear. Not yet, he said, voice steely. I'm going to expose what they're hiding. Suddenly, the room was flooded with data files, video footage, internal memos revealing the platform's true purpose. Corporate executives discussing strategies to increase viewer addiction, plans to engineer public outrage, and methods to ensure the continual scheduling of murders for maximum ratings and profit. Lila gasped, stepping closer. This isn't just a show. It's a crime syndicate masked as media. Alex nodded grimly. And we're the only ones who can stop it. With one final keystroke, Alex initiated a data dump, sending the damning evidence to public forums, whistleblower sites, and encrypted networks. The digital world buzzed as the truth began to seep through the cracks. But the victory was short-lived. The room's lights flickered violently as security forces mobilized, their digital and physical presence converging on Alex's location. Time's up, Jox warned. You need to get out now. Alex grabbed Lila's hand, the weight of the moment pressing down on them. Outside, the city's neon glow beckoned a chaotic battlefield of media addiction, digital manipulation, and public voyeurism. Their fight was just beginning. As they slipped into the rain-drenched streets, Alex cast one last glance back at the flickering monitors. The system was vast, powerful, and hungry, but so were they. The stream was far from over.